What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
What's
Good
going
afternoon, y'all.
on, fam? So,
Like we always do about this time, welcome
in this day of the week,
this day of the
every
week on
Tuesday,
Tuesday. That's right.
coming in live. I'm having some issues on this other um,
Platform.
platform, but it's all right. We're going to keep it moving. So, welcome to this. What do we call this?
This is I was gonna say annual.
We
This
didn't
is
give it
the
a name.
this is the OL and Sway weekly live.
Is it okay? It's the weekly live. For those of you who don't know us, how you doing?
What's up? I'm OL Buckley.
And I'm Sway Buckley.
That's right. We are Marriedpreneur Life Strategists.
Yes. And married entrepreneurs come to us to sync high level systems with laser clear strategy to build out their business legacies and to do so purposefully, powerfully, and profitably in sync. So we are glad that you are here. Here's the thing about being, a married entrepreneur. There is like no cookie cut situation. There are no two couples that have the same exact gifts. They're building and called to build in the same exact way. So this is the beautiful thing about being a marriedpreneur. We've realized there's like indiepreneurs, and that's where both spouses are building individual businesses.
That's right.
And then there's spousalpreneurs, and that's usually where one spouse is the entrepreneur and then the other spouse is the one who's supporting that other spouse. Maybe they're doing a 9 to 5, but they're supporting the entrepreneur. And then there are couplepreneurs.
That's right. The couplepreneurs is where both of them are actually building the same business and they're doing it together.
So whether you're an indie or you're a spousal or you're a couple, we are a couplepreneur. We're just glad that you are here. But do let us know in the comments if you're an indiepreneur where both of you are building individual businesses. You can drop an I for us. We can know who's in this virtual space. It'd be great to meet you here. And then if you're a spousalpreneur where one of you is building the business and the other spouse is supporting that spouse who's building the business, then go ahead and drop an S.
And if you are a couplepreneur, you can go ahead and throw the C in the comment. That's us.
Okay.
Our own business.
Okay.
But we're definitely supporting each other.
We have some
Excellent.
indiepreneurs in here. Yes, we get it.
Good
so
stuff.
a little bit with about us. Like I was gonna say with us or about us.
I was gonna say that they could be any two of the three configuration because we've actually been all three at different points.
At different points, absolutely. So right now we are indie and couple.
Yes.
I had to think about it. I was like,
I did too.
So when we first got married, we were spousalpreneurs, and then as the hubby left his 9 to 5, then we turned to indie, and then somewhere along the lines, it kind of morphed into couplepreneurs with with Marriedpreneur Life, and that's where we are today. So we're like, okay, here we are. Let's just be obedient and do what we're called to do. So we're glad that you all are here today. So let's jump into this. Every single week, as we mentioned, we come in for a few moments to share some nuggets, some golden nuggets, specifically crafted for married entrepreneurs, because we know that this journey, it ain't all, what do you call it? Ice cream and roses.
No, it's not. It's not. And I'll tell you something else that's not all ice cream and roses, and that is oftentimes marriedpreneurs getting stuck and hemmed up in what we like to call the idea trap. So just real quick as housekeeping, listen, if you found yourself being trapped in the trap or the web of ideas, which one do I do? How do I do? Which one do I do? We got so many ideas going on. That idea trap can definitely hinder and hurt your daily execution, but there is a solution for that.
Yes, there
is. For marriedpreneurs.
What is it?
Having a daily execution.
What is it?
And so that solution for that is actually checking out the latest episode of the Marriedpreneur Life podcast. That is episode number 27, called The Idea Trap: Daily Execution as marriedpreneurs.
Yes, want to let you know that housekeeping right there. And also, for those of you who may be new around these parts, we have created a few systems downloads. So if you are new and you would like to have our free copy of our systems checklist, do let us know. Hello, I see you there. Let us know just by dropping systems in the comments, and we will make sure we get that to you. We have a profitability system download and we have a productivity system download. These are specifically created and crafted for the uniqueness of married entrepreneurs.
That's
so
right.
There's that. So let us know that. And then also tell us where you're hopping in from. We see some people
drop your city in the comments.
Or country. We are coming from the Garden State of New Jersey, right across the Hudson from New York. So with that being said, let's dive in. So today, diving into productivity, we're just going to give you some really, we're going to do a screenshot of that so we can make sure we send it over to you. We have California, Atlanta in the house. Good places. We both grew up in California and definitely have been to Atlanta several times. So glad y'all are in the building.
I spent a few years in California. A few years.
But you were growing up in school.
I was, yeah.
So I said grown up.
Yeah, but it sounded like exclusive.
Oh,
we both grew up in California, and then there was no qualifier. So
well, yeah, that's true too. So, but we both did have some schooling in California, in Southern Cal. It just went dark for a second. I don't know what just happened.
I'm not sure what that's all about.
I'm gonna leave it alone though. Okay, so let's dive into this real quick, and then we're gonna go have some lunch. We wanted to share with you all today some uber productive, simple, super duper strategies for marriedpreneurs that really helps avoid and block overwhelm, because we know there are so many different voices and things to do and things that are always popping up on our list, and sometimes it can feel like you're doing things, but are you really getting things done? So it's not always about doing so much and getting everything done. It's about getting the right things done. What they say?
I'm just checking her out.
Oh,
she
and
was like, I'm from NY. She was like, so I know what you guys are exactly right.
Yeah.
Talking about Paramus.
Yeah, down the street from us.
Down the street. Yeah. So,
well, with that being said, let's dive in. We just want to give you 3 different strategies that we've been using over the years, really to help us on a day in and day out basis to be productive. And I say this because all the different conversations that we help with our clients or with just couples that we're meeting, and they've realized that they're a bit frustrated because they're not necessarily seeing the results that they desire to see. And really, it's about what are you doing on a day in and day out basis. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like if you're in a 9 to 5 or if you are already doing your business full time. It's really important to have being productive on a day in and day out basis. But that doesn't look the same for everybody, because we all are at different places of capacity and different goals. And so that's really important. So we just want to share these very simple insights and systems with you that really help us daily. We're going to give you a real life example too, that something crazy happened yesterday, and this ties directly into what we're talking about.
Yeah. So let me say, my guess is, this is just a guess, that some of you may be like me in that when you have a routine set in place, you do not like for that routine to be disrupted or to be thrown off. Because if you may be like me, then you like to, when you dial in, you want to dial in. Yes. And then when that gets thrown off, it can really affect your mood and attitude. And so, I get that if that's you, and so yesterday we were doing our routine, which is for the most part containing the same structures from Monday through Friday, but so we were doing our routine, and we had this sort of, as we look back on yesterday, just really be reminded of a couple of things. So when we talk about what will help you to be productive, what will help you to be productive, and not productive just in a very narrow and isolated way, but productive in a all-encompassing sense and an all-encompassing way. One of those things that's very important is that we have to be discerning. And it's important to be discerning. And this comes with a delicate balance, because you got to know your season, obviously. But when we're discerning, for discernment to work, and this is just something I realized, for discernment to work, we got to be honest. So in other words, I can't be discerning about what season I'm in. I have to be honest to go along with that discernment. So in that discerning what season I'm in, this is important, because when we're being discerning about the season that we're in, it's going to help us to not try to force everything, to not try to force things. But yes, it will keep us in the space of being accountable to one another. And that's really where that productivity really comes into play. So when you think about, just as an example, the season of life that you're in, that could be impacted by, many things. It could be impacted by family dynamics. It could be impacted by how new is the business. That could be impacted by you all's skill sets, things that you know now, plus those things that you're going to learn to increase your knowledge base. There's all kinds of variables and factors that impact our season of life. So we want to be discerning about that.
Yeah. And I was going to also say, it's so important to understand, and when things shift in life and when seasons shift, to understand that not everything that happened or how it happened in the previous season is I'm not going to say permittable, but it's profitable for this new season. And so there are times maybe you had a grace to do a certain thing in a certain way in the previous season, and then now it feels like you're forcing it. And I think it's really important to be discerning of that and like really look at the cycle of how things are going. Like, wait, are we forcing this? Am I trying to do it a certain way? Like it has to be in my time frame and it has to be done the way that I expect it to be done, because that's just the only way that God can do it. That's just the only way that, that he can use us in the marketplace or to build this business. That's just the only way. But that is so not the case. It's so not true. And so being discerning comes with some other areas that we're about to go over as well. But the main thing is like, it's such a delicate balance between not trying to force it, but at the same time being accountable to take actions on an ongoing and regular basis, like the right type of action. So being discerning with that and being at peace with that in between spot where it's not like this is going to work regardless. Like this is the way it's going to work. And this is the timing that it's going to work, because there are some things that we just don't have control over as we're building our businesses. And so being mindful of how all the different things in life happen with seasons, with maybe with children as they grow, and maybe with aging parents. There's all these different things that we have to take into consideration that are totally out of our control, but we need to be discerning with that. And so that's the first thing to help with really being productive on a day-to-day basis.
That's right.
First B.
The
Second B
is be flexible.
That goes with being discerning.
Yeah, being flexible. If you ever heard the statement, anything that won't bend breaks, it's important that we're flexible. And when we're being flexible, we are learning to adjust, and we're making the necessary adjustments that keeps the main thing that keeps the focus in focus, and really helps us to assess the priorities. Yeah. And sometimes the priority can change for the day. That doesn't mean that the overall priorities change, but sometimes those daily priorities can change. And so we have to make being flexible a value. Otherwise, we'll be inflexible when we're inflexible as we're building our business, we're actually hurting our building efforts. So when we are inflexible as marriedpreneurs and things come up and we're not willing to be flexible, then what we think is helping us is actually hurting us.
Because we're building in frustration.
And building in frustration
is not good soil to build in.
It
doesn't produce.
We end up doing more damage than we do construction.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing too. The willingness to adjust often comes before the time to adjust. So in other words, I have to make it a value. I have to say, you know what, we are going to build this business, do what we have to do as we're being discerning about our seasons. But I am willing to adjust as things and situations require, because then when we get into a situation where we are needing to adjust, but we haven't already put our emotions there or put our heart there, it's going to be a much more difficult thing trying to adjust when we haven't already sort of geared our mind up for adjusting being a reality in the building process.
And this is such a powerful tool, and it's like a tool that you don't see, but you see the fruit of the tool. And that is that being willing to be flexible, like actually having that willingness to be flexible allows you to really bounce back quickly. It allows you to be more creative, to see other opportunities that you didn't see before if something doesn't work. Because if you just prepare for life to happen, we have our plan every day. When we have our daily legacy meeting, we go over marriage stuff, business stuff, and we go throughout the day. Like these are the things that we're going to be focusing on. And we have our plan for the day. But that's our responsibility to have that plan. But we also, at the same time, are not naive to think that life is not going to happen today. And it does. Even case in point, yesterday, going out for our run yesterday morning, we usually do a run together, and we were running to the park.
Running through the park.
My husband usually runs ahead of me, and we shared a little bit of this in the stories yesterday. If you saw it, God is so good. The next thing I know, he was in front of me, so he just starts swatting, like just really hysterically, like hitting himself and hitting the air. And I thought you were joking at first. I don't know if I told you that. I thought you were joking about something, I don't know. So I was like, what? And then the next thing I know, another runner that's running towards us, this other dude, he starts doing the same thing right next to you. And he drops his ear pods and whatever. And he doesn't even try to pick him up. He just, and I'm like, what is going on? Next thing I know, I realized you were serious when you ran into the street oncoming traffic. And I was like, what is going on? So I run over to him and try to, get him out the street. Like, what is going on? And all like, he's just hitting himself. And he was like, I don't know, it's biting me. It's biting. I'm like, what is biting? I don't see anything. He didn't see anything. So he's just like, it's invisible. And I'm like, what's invisible? Like, what is biting you? And then I started looking on his back under his shirt where he was hitting himself. And I see these red marks and I'm like, oh Lord. And so I said, take your shirt off, so he takes his shirt off. And then I see, all the spots on his back and then on his hand, and he's like bent over. And so I call a doctor friend of mine to find out, okay, what do we do? We don't even know what is attacking him or what we didn't know. I didn't know like what it was. We just didn't know. And then a lady comes over on the other side of the street, and she was like, is he okay? And we're like, yeah, I was like, I don't know. Like, we're trying to figure out what attacked him and what's going on. Come to find out, she's like, yeah, the lady just told me over there's a beehive, and it's hanging from a broken branch in the tree. So it's like almost like right over your head.
So check this out. I didn't see it, but I ran smack into a beehive.
Well, on the side of it.
Mm-hmm. But it was hanging so low, it was right above my head. And
so those bees.
The only way I could describe it, felt like I was what?
I said they were not happy.
Yeah. The only way I could describe it was I felt like I was running through razors. I just felt like I was being like lacerated with razors all over. Started feeling a little nauseous, got a little delirium as I ran off into the street. But anyway, thank God that was over. Yeah. My hand swelled up and it was crazy.
It was a whole thing. So we came home.
Point being though, that totally altered our morning.
Oh my goodness. By the time we came home, we walked, number one. So by the time we came home, we were really not on our regular schedule, but it didn't matter because we just wanted to make sure you were okay. Sat down, made him some breakfast, got some ice packs. I was Googling stuff like what to put on it. Really checking his breathing, or like if the breathing is not good, then go to the ER. So that part was good. Thank the Lord, breathing. So I say all that to say like that took time, and it really was a very interesting morning. It made for an interesting morning.
I had never had multiple bee stings at the same time. And so the confluence of all that, and then that morning, I mean, you're talking about threw us off by
a couple of hours. Yeah. And so all this happened like yesterday morning. And so I'm reading stories online about like what could happen when someone is attacked by bees and how it could be really bad, and I'm just grateful. But at the same time, I'm like, are you okay? And just what's going on? And so as we come home and we go through things, we had to recalibrate the day after, he got some rest, and he we iced down the wounds, and I started finding some more little red spots on his body. So we just tried to ice those down, put little ointment on there. And that really brought the swelling down too. And then it was like, okay, now we got to get into the day. And so once that part was done and he was okay with it, he was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready, to get into the day. But it was totally not according to our original plan. But we had to look to say, now this is the part where the flexibility comes in, right? To say, okay, it's okay. This is going to be all right. So the main thing is that you're okay. And we're going to move forward from here and be productive with what we have remaining in the day, not to try to force everything that we originally had in the day into like a fraction of the time that we had remaining for the day. And sometimes we will try to force things that we did before in a different time in a smaller amount of capacity. And so that just leads to frustration. And so that the last B is be aware of these. You mentioned priorities earlier right now. And the beauty of that is, I would say beauty, and the powerful thing of that is being aware of the priorities right now means they will change. Like throughout the day, your priorities can change based on what's happening in life, right? We didn't get up thinking that, my husband's going to be attacked by bees, and then it's like, oh, well, let's plan according to that. Something you just can't plan for these things, and every day it's something else. Life is just going to keep happening. So we decide to say, okay, we're going to make our plans. We're accountable for that. We put them before God, and he knows our hearts. He knows where we are. He knows what needs to get done. And we're just going to continue to be like good stewards over the time that we do have today, over the energy that we do have today, and rearrange as we go without trying to force it. Because that force piece, we've been there before, and it's just not it never goes well. It always goes left.
Yeah.
It always goes left. So with that being said, I wanted to add this too. One quick question that we like to ask. Well, I ask myself when I'm in between, like even yesterday, okay, everything is a bit off from what I expected it to be. what now? Like, how do I make up or do what I'm supposed to do for today with the time that I have remaining? So a question I like to ask myself is this the best use of my time right now? Like whatever I'm doing. So when I get into it now, I realize, oh, my whole priorities have changed. They're totally different now based on what happened. So what's the best use of my time right now? And then I could kind of like counsel myself with that and like, what's the best use of my time? Is this the best? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And some things are going to change as they often do throughout the day. But being aware of that has been a huge game changer in both of our levels of productivity and coming back together at the end of the day after we had our legacy meeting that morning. Mm-hmm. That's a little bonus, I would say, circling back, because once you know that you're going to be accountable for with the person, we're accountable for the time that we spend anyway with God. But once we know that we're accountable with our spouse on how we spent our time, whether we're in the same business or different businesses or only one of us is in business, once we know that we have to give an account for those hours for the day, we use them differently. We treat them differently. We respect them differently. So that has been a huge game changer for us too when it comes to daily productivity. That's it. So that's it for today, guys. We hope that this has been helpful for you all. If you all join later, we're going to put the replay up as well. And if you missed out on the systems, the free systems, checklist, we created a system called Marriedpreneur Operating Systems. We can send that over to you, the checklist anyway. It's really it's a streamlined process for your business and your marriage, them coupled together. And we had to create a resource because we couldn't find one when we started our businesses. Everything was just only marriage or only business. And we're like, well, what about when you're doing both together? So, and making it work together for you. So if you want that checklist, just drop systems in the comments and we'll get that over to you for sure. Or you can send it to us in the DMs just in case we miss you when we log off in a few seconds. Okay. Hope this was helpful for you all. Hope you all are encouraged. You can go on and be productive and be discerning, be aware,
and be flexible.
All right. With that being said, until next time, y'all.
Keep living
purposefully,
powerfully,
and profitably
in sync.
All right. Peace out.